And I just thought of this life. Like, what's the point of it? And I thought of like this faith journey, and most people are like, oh, I don't have faith, but we all have faith in something. It might not be God. It might be alcohol. There's a spirit behind that. And so this faith that whatever we have faith in, there's an action that always comes out of it. And so in my addiction, I had faith in that. That's what gave me life and validation. That's what gave me breath. That's what quieted the noise in my head. And I ultimately worshiped it. I wouldn't have said that. I would just say it's just something that I do. Like, what's wrong with that? But the reality is I worshiped it. I gave my all to it. And it gave me life and validation for me. I gave my all to it, and it gave me something in return. But the action of it was consuming. I consumed the world around me. I consumed people's time. I consumed people's energy. I consumed the courtrooms for 10 years. I just consumed everybody around me. And until the solution that I had stopped working, I stopped having faith in it because it backfired on me. It exploded on me. And that solution became a detriment to me. It no longer was a solution, but I couldn't live. So I thought, without this solution, I should die. And so I tried to take my life, and I guess God intervened, and I kept waking up. I kept waking up, and that was about a 6 to 9 month period. And I got into a homeless shelter, and they said, to get out of this homeless shelter, you'll need a relationship with God. And I just thought how absurd that was. They said I would have to put my faith in God. Trade your alcohol and your cocaine and everything else for God. And I just didn't know how the two went together because I grew up with God. I grew up as a missionary kid. I grew up as a pastor kid. Nana raised me. So I knew all about God. We said a prayer at 12 years old. Baby Jesus came into my heart. I didn't feel it, but I said the prayer. But I felt alcohol, and that's what I put my faith in. So that's where I started with this new faith journey, because I couldn't die, and now I needed to learn to live. And so I put my faith in God, and they said, you got to have this little relationship to get out of the homeless shelter. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I don't want to be in the homeless shelter for I just don't want to be here that long. I just want to get this and move on. And later that day, I was down on Rideau Street waiting for the bus, and on the telephone pole, there was this sign, and it said, there was a question mark on it, and this guy holding it, like this big question, it says Jesus. And I'm like, well, there's a starting point. So I took the little tab off, and I took this course. It was called Alpha. And I took this course, and, I started my faith journey, and I left that homeless shelter after about 6 months, and I was pretty rough around the edges. Actually, I never graduated rehab. I got kicked out of rehab because of aggression. I was a little aggressive. And, but that taught me a lot of lessons that the actual rules apply to me. John Ruby, the rules apply to me. I never thought that was true. I always worked around them. And it was heartbreaking for me because I felt disappointed. I was like, I failed something else again. But I had this little seed that was planted inside of me of this relationship with God. And I get back home, and I'm doing these meetings, and I start working. And after a couple of months, I relapsed. And in the next 6 months, I relapsed a bunch. And I went to this meeting all the time, and I had a sponsor, and this guy, Al, and he went everywhere. He was at everything. He was at the book table. He was at this table. He did setup. He did teardown. He did coffee. He was always there. He never really spoke, and he was he had bad teeth, and it was somebody that I wouldn't hang out with. Like, he wasn't charismatic. He wasn't popular. He just did all the things. And I just remember, if that's recovery, he's 4 years sober. And if that's recovery, that's not what recovery is. He lives in his parents' basement on social assistance. And I was like, that's not recovery. And after my 5th relapse, I was like, I want that guy's recovery because, he's sober in his parents' basement. If you had my parents, that would be a gift. Dinner every night, packed lunch, folded laundry. It's true. Still to this day, if I move back home, that's what would happen. Guaranteed. Right, Jordan? And I just remember going because Monday I would always meet with my sponsor, and I'm shaky and I'm still grinding my teeth. And we just read the book, And I just remember right then going like, you still want to meet with me? And I just want to be like that guy. Like, if I just be a volunteer for the rest of my life, I'll do that. And over the next couple months, I formed this real relationship with God, my creator. He breathed life into me, and I was guided by a different spirit, and that spirit compelled me to help people. Like, that's crazy. When you're like somebody like me that needs everybody and their resources around to live, and now all of a sudden I have a clarity and I just want to help people. That's crazy. Like, I want to volunteer. For the first couple of years, I just moved people a lot. Like, that's all I was qualified for, I guess. Hey, can you help me move? I'm like, yeah, sure. I hate moving. I lived in 18 different places by the time I was in grade 10. So moving's like, I'm good at it because we did it a lot. And I just remember going like, why am I doing this? And I'm like, I think I'm in a cult and they're making me volunteer and I don't get paid. And I just was like, this is better than what I was doing. So I just will drink the Kool-Aid or the kombucha. And I just kept helping and I didn't expect any pay. And that's what service is. Service is doing work for others their way, not my way. And I can get in the way of even helping others. And so that's, as this relationship with God grew inside of me, I was compelled to actually work with, like, I just volunteered. And over the next 9 months, I was asked if I wanted to work at a care home for mentally ill people. And I was like, I guess that sounds like a good opportunity. And so it left me from this consumer life to caring about other people and other, like, men. And that was really weird. Like, I remember there were so many first weird moments. Like, one of the dudes asked me to tuck him in. He was a 400-pound man and he had a breathing apparatus. And then he asked me to pray for him. And I walked out of that room going like, I'm glad no one watched me. Like, I'm sweating. Like, I'm literally sweating. Like, I have to change my shirt. I just prayed for a man and tucked him in. Like, I had no barometer for this. And I'm like giggling at myself, like, what is going on? And they're not even paying me enough to make it worthwhile. Like, it is $7 an hour. But it started to do something in my heart. And it changed who I was because of my faith in God. And it compelled me to help others. And so I believe that I don't think helping others is a great motive. But if you're moved by the Spirit of God to help others, then you're doing it His way in His will. And if I'm just helping others without God, then I'm just doing acts of religion. I'm just doing good things. So it's not about that. Like, I would never do the things I did without drinking. Like, that would be bad. That's not good. But I would never be helping people if I didn't be guided by God's Spirit. So I just want to leave you with that. If you work on your relationship with the Spirit of God, the love of God, you're going to be compelled to do things that you're like, oh, wow, this is weird. I'm helping. I'm spending my time and my resources and my money, and I'm seeing things and people that I could help. And imagine us all doing that. The world would be a much better place. And so, but it comes with my relationship with my faith. Faith without works is dead. And if I didn't have the works of alcohol, I wouldn't be an alcoholic. I wouldn't be doing that. And I have faith in God now, like I did with alcohol and drugs. And so we go from being consumers to being fruitful. And that's what God designed us to do, is to be fruitful, to help others.